a podcast.
Oh, nice.
Ah, see that? So, what we have going on right now is we're opening the show right now,
The
believe it or not.
first of the season, man.
Yeah,
I
first
love
of the
it.
season. So we're going into a season now. For everybody that's listening right now, if you're just listening, dial in. The number 609-663-0153. You can call and talk to Jamie and Maggie in person. In person. Now I'm not kidding now. This is not a preloaded message or anything else. I am not the voice. But I mean, when we talk about things like that, I say to everybody, call in. Everybody says, "Well, I should have called in." And you know what? They should have called in, but they didn't call in. So we're hoping that everybody that wants to does. It was all over Facebook, Twitter. I mean, they're gonna ban me one of these days. but
You're awesome. Awesome with that.
But it's
And
like, it's crazy because we get the same thing as Maggie does in that all the time, and that she puts it all over things, and I see her Facebook things, and it's awesome. It's good.
yeah. Well, let them know that you're there. I said, well, you could have all the talent in the world, but if nobody knows you're there, whatever. And I think that that's a really great dynamic is you're ready to make that shift. You're going to get into the podcasting and I'm sure that there are many other shows that people would also love to have created. So maybe asking, the listeners what if they're interested, because you're going to go on that. This is going to create a whole nother library. In this case of the podcasting, it's even more powerful and far reaching.
We all, I am, we are, I am. Ooh, I is. Oh, well, yeah. We did we did this other one. I is. But really seriously, we have the Hope Channel, which I've been being prodded from certain areas and saying, "Well, why don't you do it? You got it. Why don't you do it?" And I'm like, it's you got to wait for the right time to whenever you're going to start a show because the whole thing is the time that the marketing of it. When you're going to market, is anybody going to read it? Right now, there's so many people that are watching Newsmax and everything else, which I'm 100% behind because it's the only channel that actually goes here. You don't believe us? Here it is, and they put it
Cool.
right in front of your face. So I mean, it's really really hard not to believe what they say. But since everybody's dying, my brother-in-law was one of them. I
Oh,
mean, he got the COVID-19, and they put him on some type of something for his immune system, and he's okay now, which is thank God. I
yeah.
mean, I looked up at JC and I said, "Come on."
Apparently it worked.
Well, he gave me some slack,
you
just
know,
a little bit.
well, and I think that's a dynamic that we all have is others that do have circumstances that we have the love and compassion. We will always help and be there in any way. And sometimes those life experiences, those circumstances become very powerful, and you're not always able to take any time for you to make sure that you're staying connected too. And I think that that's a really, for myself, has been a very strong power point of balance is to keep myself connected to me, because otherwise I found that as I was sharing with others, if I didn't help myself, I started feeling frustrated at the very thing I did for others and not myself. And then sometimes you can feel like you're giving your energy away. And in this case, it's been great because the more that I've found myself within life, the more life I've found within me. It's basically that mirror image. And so, to be okay, whether it's whatever it is, meditation, swimming, hiking, any of those, to do something for you.
Does
You go ahead. No,
does
go.
does that include working on a project for like 12, 15 hours a day?
I'm
That
serious.
is her.
Look,
Yeah.
I've got somebody here that does it for me for at least 10 hours a day.
That
But I
amazing.
mean, she enjoys it because she talks to more people than God. So, you know, yeah. Well, it's the same thing, and that with her does the same thing, and it's she's on Pinterest and all these other things. Then she's got more boards than God has fingers and toes. And it's one of those, and I'm like, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I got her this computer that like forget about it. I mean, it's like a supercomputer. There's ones that these guys play these games with a gazillion gigabytes and all kinds of stuff
Hmm.
on a thing. That's what I gave her. I gave her one of those. In fact, it's the same computer as our in Florida, the DMV operates on.
That's awesome.
Do you have
That's like
access?
the
Is that-
best gift in the world.
I said, here, close your door, just go in. She comes out with the hair all frizzy and everything, So yeah.
But it's great when they have the enthusiasm and the talent to do all of this.
Oh
Because I
yeah.
think you and I are like, yeah, we're just doing us. And they're working their magic in every way and giving us the opportunity. And what's great is, that taking time is it's also allowed us to be in a great relationship, taking time for ourselves. Not that we're having to only give to others. It's now we'll always do that, but having our own fun. We'll do ballroom dancing or cook her dinner or have a masseuse come over, whatever the case is.
Ooh, I should have that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me,
It's
I'm,
great.
I'm getting old though, so I don't have a masseuse come over. I have a chiropractor.
Who hit you a few times? It's kind of like a masseuse.
Exactly. Come here, let me fix that.
Pop.
Yeah.
I feel good.
So yeah, you know the story. What I wanted to ask you guys though, I mean, in the spiritual way, and that isn't it always good? And this is somebody that a lot of people that ask me, and I try to step sideways in the answer because it's an answer that I'm not completely comfortable with my answer. It's not that it's wrong. I could be right, but it's something that if I like you, if it's not true, if it's not exactly what you should say, you won't say it. I mean, that's just the way things go. I mean, we're a different breed of people. Today it's like anything that comes out of their mouth is what works. Mine, whatever comes out of my mouth, I mean it. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Even if I give you F words, or something like that. Yes,
You mean it, boy.
I meant every single syllable.
But you're brutally honest in a great way.
I
People
am.
know where they
Yeah, definitely.
stand. It's not like,
I beat Trump out 2-1, so forget about it. But one of the things that they had asked me was, is it better? Like I try to tell people all the time to believe in yourself, to communicate with yourself, to be in communication with your inner self, in a sense, because you have an inner self. They said, "Oh, what's an inner self?" Well, don't worry about it. I said, then I put them in the mirror and go look in the mirror, tell yourself that you love yourself, and see what you feel like. Do you? Are you lying to yourself? Are you going to lie to you're looking at yourself? Are you going to lie to yourself? Doubt it. Then they asked me, like, would it be better off if they had somebody to like bounce their feelings off of? We're talking like mentoring in a sense. And I said to them, I said, girlfriend, boyfriend, guy around the corner, grocer, cashier. I said, all those people are emitting energy at all times. They are beacons of their own selves. So I said, if you interact with any one of those people, you will gain more intuitive feelings for yourself added with whatever they add to it. So if they give you some kind of a comment or something and then they add to it, that just like, it's like instead of like eating the cake, you push one piece of cake on top of the next and you just keep going and you have one hell of a big cake,
and you can have your cake and eat it too.
That's right. Bingo. I knew you were going to say that if I said that. Good. Yeah. Yeah. See, I passed you right into that one. But the idea is you're right. And this is what people ask me a lot of times, that because, we got a lot of things going around. We got feelings of suicide. We've got people, Nat, who want to kill people. And I mean, so I heard a couple of them that didn't sound exactly, that like they wouldn't do it if they could do it.
Right. Yeah.
And, this is only the mindset has changed a lot, and a lot of it has to do with what we perceive.
What do you mean?
In other words, like we're like radar. If we see it, it'll sink. If we don't see it, it won't sink. If we don't want to see it, so what? It's you got a middle and two sides at the same time. And so many people, because they're so absorbed by their cell phones, are not listening to what they should be listening to and only hearing what they shouldn't want to hear. And then when they do hear it, They come out with their own, how would you say it, the feelings about what they heard, which is usually not correct because they didn't hear it right because they weren't paying attention. That's what they weren't doing. Now,
Or they're
school.
trying to fit it into their own practical awareness of how they perceive it.
Exactly. You got it. Yep. That's about the size thing. Now, you were talking about inner communication, et cetera, et cetera. Blast us with it. I mean, this is the time. I mean, if anybody's going to do it now, I'm serious. I mean, I would trust you more than anybody else to do it.
Well, I'm honored. And, with the circumstances around the planet of such an epidemic, that's neutralized a lot of the circumstances. And, now a lot of people have been left alone to find themselves again to go, okay, I found me. Now, what am I doing? Now they're coming out, literally emerging from the cocoon in a way that they're having such a change in their thoughts, in the way they're perceiving reality, just by, in this case, being pushed to stay home, to be separated from people. And then, you get into the internet because that's connecting everyone. Now people have gotten so comfortable at being in home with being able to connect with others in not such a strong, close way, but at a distance kind of experience, that is now allowing people to start doing a little more meditation, or taking a little bit more time for them to either create some artwork. There's a lot of people that are starting to really open up to their natural abilities. And when they can do that, and it's just been there the whole time, yet they didn't really put any time or energy into it to see if it would even manifest, they're now having enough time and solidness to go, all right, I'm going to give it a try. And so many people are waking up to a whole new way of seeing life. Literally, some of my clients are very wealthy and they've had a bunch of businesses. They're like, no, I'm very wealthy and all that, but I want to do something else. And it's speaking from their soul, not their mind, because they're very intelligent. But I'm seeing a lot of people being taken out of their mind and put into their soul to go, what do I feel about life now? Because I can talk myself in or out of anything, but I'll never fool myself with that gut feeling, that language of the soul, that soul print.
What are we going to do? Here's one another question that comes up on that all the time. What about dating?
What about it?
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I had to throw my hands up in the air on that one. I swear to God, because we're talking about pandemic, we're talking about vaccines, we're talking about vaccines or not, we're talking about different things that happen if you're vaccinated as opposed to if you're not vaccinated. We're also talking about things like if a person interacts with somebody a lot, maybe the person works in an office or something. So, okay, so you're going to date this person. This person's been with other persons. So what are you going to do? Put them in a closet, close the door, and say, "Come out in 10 days to see if I can date you." I'm serious. I mean, it's crazy. There are all these date sites and things that are telling people, "Oh, well, you can't do this." I was in a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of them. I mean, let's face it. If I'm going to do some looking around, I'm going to look. So, I went into a whole bunch of them. Not one can tell you anything about the person. Well, maybe one does. Can tell you anything about the person that you want to or you're interested in. So you see the picture of the person, you see three or four things like, okay, they're white, they're a female, naturally, they're nice hair or whatever, and they're let me see, they're say horoscope sign or something and some other stuff, and you look at all these things and you go, wow, I'd really like to meet that woman, but what did you see? Or if it was a woman, I want to meet that guy. He's got great. He's a Catholic. Uh, it's like that's the way it is, and that's all you get. And you get a picture. It's a blur. But if you want to unblur it, you've got to pay $69 and something for a month of whatever, And then they say in the little thing at the bottom, this is only since the pandemic. I saw it before, and all this stuff wasn't there. On the very, very bottom, it says that they will automatically recharge your card at the end of your, say, 15 days or 60 days, whatever, and they'll recharge it. But let's face it, I mean, I would need a microscope to see what's on the bottom of that page.
Yep.
Where the thing is. So let me tell you, this whole country has been really, really, really hit, and when it goes that low, there's something up. That's why I think people need you to tell them that they are worth something to themselves. And if you don't tell them, you can't beat around the bush. You got to tell them. They won't listen because today they're sheeple. You know the term. They're followers. They're not leaders. All of them. I don't care who they are. The real leaders are the ones that turn around, take a step back, and say, like you said, what I feel like I want to do something else. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What can I do to make myself feel better? Those are the people that aren't the followers, and there's very few, believe it or not. I mean, it shocked the hell out of me when I started talking to. I mean, I talk to a lot of people a day, even the dog. And yeah, I know I'm.
And you're listening. You
I'm
actually
psyched,
understand.
and he does, yes. But the idea of the thing is, out of all the people that I talk to, it's funny. You really, really don't find that many leaders.
A lot of
And the
times
ones
it's easier to follow.
yeah, but the ones that you get that are leaders are the ones that are like, well, I don't like this one. I don't like that one. I mean, he's going to lead somebody right into the next protest, you know? I'm, I'm serious. I mean, I mean, look, I'm in Florida. I mean, hey, that's what goes on around here. I mean, you're closer to the border than I am. I mean, if I go all the way down in Miami, or let's face it, I mean, the next boat out to it's Cuba is leaving in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, well,
They just have to get the raft at Walmart's.
quick ride, man. Were you going to say something? And I think just kind of reconnecting with that is in the dating aspect. And in a relationship, the ability to, doesn't mean they have to be into everything that you're into, but possibly being open for your life experiences, the dynamics. Because the person that I was married to for quite a few years, a lovely person, but we went in different directions. And in that, the very person that I've been, I don't know how to be anything different, that wasn't quite appreciated and understood by one, completely appreciated and tolerated by another. I call her Saint Maggie, man. But the great thing is I didn't have to change. It wasn't me. I needed to stay true to myself, because sometimes if you get another person that possibly perceives you differently or says things enough consistently that you start going, is there something to this? Because I keep hearing it. And when they keep reinforcing it, that can sometimes be a challenge. For Mag and I, we get to be ourselves. We know it's 100% each complete, and we're 200% of the relationship. She has her own identity. I have mine. We have our own spiritual gifts that we work with, that we help others and ourselves. Because I also found that it not only became the benefits of self-care, but of relationship care too, of including that other person in such a beautiful, powerful way. So really, no limits.
And I don't think that people really need to put all their whole life on hold because of the pandemic. Yes, it's a serious thing. It's happening in the world. We have to take precautions. We have to be conscientious and careful, and, we really do need to follow our heart as well, because a lot of people, when we were like shut down, learned that they didn't really want to be alone, and that they wanted companionship and they wanted company or friends or something. So when you get that desire to be in a social setting, we are very, very social creatures. There are very few of us that want to be alone for the rest of our lives. And the ones that I've met that have wanted to be alone for the rest of their lives change when they get older. They're like, you know what? I'd love to have a companion to do stuff with, to hang out with, to spend my time with, my life with. So I don't think dating should just be stopped in its tracks because we're dealing with the global pandemic, because that puts a stop on your heart, right? And on what you truly want sometimes. And then you'd be going against yourself. And remember, when we're talking about dealing with projects of ourselves, you have to be true to yourself. To thine own self be true, and all else will follow. If not, nothing else will. If you don't want to be alone and you want to be dating, and you go against that because you're afraid, you're going to be giving into a fear. It's going to not be in alignment with your heart, not be in alignment with the love vibration and positive frequencies. If you go against who you are, if you go against what you want, it could be actually more devastating and more detrimental than if you would just follow the heart and let it lead the way. Now, take precautions. Absolutely. really get to know what are the risks and are they worth it to you. Everybody has a different value point in this scenario, whether, I don't want to date someone who works in an office. I want to date a trucker because he's only in his truck by himself. But wait, do I really want to date a trucker? Because then they're touching gas tanks and all that stuff and filling up their tank. And, so people have their own perceptions and their own value point over what's safe to them and what's comfortable and what's not. So as long as you're true to yourself, I see there's no reason to stop dating. Even if you spent online dating and you spent time just dating through the ethers for a while just for the companionship, it's a place to start. It is a place to start. Plus, to be alone through this whole thing is probably more devastating because love is like an exponential force, right? So when you're sharing love
Interesting way to say that. Yeah.
right, when you're sharing love and you're
Very
growing
interesting.
love, yeah, when you're sharing love and growing love, all it does is expand. So you don't want to cut yourself off from the dating field just because you're afraid, unless that is more of what you value than actually having a conversation and getting to know someone and seeing if you're going to be compatible. I don't know, dating to me opens up energy for people. It opens up
Oh yeah,
passion. It
I
opens
agree.
up your heart. It opens up love. It opens up all of these amazing vibrations. And just to cut that off completely because the world's going through something, I don't think that's healthy for anybody. I think it's good to reach out and have someone to talk to, whether it's a companion, whether it's a friend. And we talked about, is it better to bounce your feelings off of someone? That's a loaded question. And the answer is yes, because what you're going to get back in return is a mirror, either a mirror of a confirmation that you're on the right track with your feelings, or a mirror that you don't agree with the person standing in front of you and you're going to stick to your guns.
And
Either
to at
way,
least
it's a
be able to
great mirror.
share.
Yeah. To
Yes,
be able to share.
exactly.
So
You
yeah,
know,
that's
you know, one was saying that one of those projects that you were talking about before that I had vibrating in my whatever. I think no, seriously. I think I should start a dating site that's like SMS, so that people can comment back and forth. They can go to give each other's address and go in and talk whatever they want to. $10 a month. Anybody want to come on
So
and use the thing? $10 a month. Now, if you did it for $10 a month, you know how many people you get? Wow, it'd be unbelievable. But you'd have to start. Then you got to get the date. You got to get the thing. You got to get the site. Hey, you're not on. But
and
when
then
you're finished with all this stuff, you would be opening a door to everyone
first to
because
yourself.
all the things that are out there right now are not available to everyone. You know what I mean? You have to want to spend $69.95 net to get 30 days worth of nothing. And for the same thing that they get for $69.95, you could do it for 10.
well, and I don't know. I was on before I got together with Jamie, I was on some dating sites. And because I didn't know where else to actually go, and I was like, what do I do? I was working a lot. I would come home, I'd have a glass of wine, go to bed, and this was my life. Work, wine, bed, work, wine, bed. And I looked at my life going, well, I don't really want to meet people in a bar. I don't really have time to go to the library because it's closed by the time I'm done working. I don't really have the time because I'm working too much. It was this whole scenario of excuse after excuse as to why I couldn't go out and date. But I decided, and I had a friend push me into this. I decided I would try online dating sites. And what it did for me on an energetic level was it opened up doors. It opened up, okay, I'll go on a couple of really bad dates. It was great, and
Wait a
I'll
minute. You were going on a bad date, and it's great. Oh,
yes,
She knew it.
it's absolutely
she
great.
sounds like Biden. He goes in two different directions too.
And this is why it's great, because it helps you refine and define what it is that you really want. And
Yes.
exactly. And so after I don't know, maybe a month of this. First of all, it got my energy flowing again. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out on a date. And I got excited, right? It got passion rose up. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to hunt. I'm going to find someone, So all of a sudden I'm now on the hunt. My passion is electrified. My senses are on, and I'm defining and refining what I really value in the relationships, even just with dating. Even if you're just having one casual date, you have a moment of relationship with someone. And so, in that process of defining and refining, what it allowed me to do was to say, all right, I actually do need someone who has a spiritual base. I can't start from scratch. I can't, there's no way that I could have a conversation with someone that I'm going to ultimately enjoy if I have to explain what energy is, from the ground up. I need someone with a base, right? And it helped me see that where I was, the site that I was on, I was not really finding that energy base, like in any of the dates I'd been on. So I decided, okay, fine. Now I have to rethink my dating plan. And I would never have started dating in people that I knew professionally. I would never have started there because to me, in my mind, it wasn't professional. If I'm in a business relationship with someone, there's no way I shouldn't be hitting on them. I shouldn't flirt. I shouldn't ask them on a date. I shouldn't do these things. But after going out on a bunch of blind dates, almost blind, right? Just meeting someone on the internet.
Well, she went.
I discovered, no, I actually should date the people that I'm around because they know what I'm talking about. And so that actually gave me the courage to ask Jamie Clark out on a date. And if it hadn't been for these online dating sites, I would have not have figured that out. I would have still steered away from keeping work and play separate, and I don't know where I'd be right now without that dating site, because I would not have had I would have thought it was inappropriate, but at some point I said, F this, I am going to go for what I want because I'm not finding it other places. And I did it in an appropriate manner, as appropriate as I could, and I asked permission to call him on a personal level versus a professional level, before I called and asked him out on a date. I made sure that he knew exactly that I was approaching him from a different angle before I approached him that way. So, and it wasn't done in public. It wasn't done at his presentations or my presentations. It was like behind a phone call, and he knew it was coming from a personal perspective, not a business perspective. So it was the most appropriate way I could handle the situation, and then be able to date someone that had a spiritual foundation, because that's what I surround myself with, is people that have that. And so the dating sites, even if they don't work out, and honestly, one of my sisters got married through a dating site. They're still married, happily married, so these things can work for people. And if they don't work, they're going to help you define. They're going to open up your passion. They're going to open up your energy. They're going to get you excited about the next adventure. And if the next adventure for people is community and one-on-one relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's a friendship, whatever, if that's what it's about, that's perfect. It's perfect. And you don't have to spend the $69 a month, by the way. You have to there are some dating apps that allow you to see a little bit more for free, and some that cost less.
It's a pretty funny number.
At least that was a while. That was how many years ago? I don't know, 6 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. It's out of control now.
But in a very powerful way, I am seeing many, many, many people get on dating sites and find their love in their day-to-day. It's incredible. Probably about 70% of the people that I connect with that share that have found that person where they were willing to go onto the internet web, kind of like the universal web, put their energy out there, and now brought it back to them with more of a refined dynamic to it. She didn't have to settle. She was maybe even more open to what we could do together, not just individually. Just I'm able to walk my walk and talk my talk just like she is. Now we have conversations, because, having that person who can at least understand where you're at so that you can share with them, instead of going, yeah, okay, well, I don't understand it, but all right, whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, that's good. And I certainly, you don't have to, but for myself, when this is who I am, not only what I do, but the essence of who I am, and I can't open up to a person, it can become a little bit stifling. So then you get used to that. My ability was when I had that, I started to reconnect with myself. I started to communicate with me. Then I brought in a beautiful person, Maggie, in her own life experience. She wasn't in a trance. She, her own circumstances, connected with the right people in the right way at the right time. And it was divine timing because I had gotten out of a relationship a number of weeks before that time. And so it was perfect timing. Otherwise, that would have never happened ever because we had worked together for many years. I was like, nope, always professional. She knows. And she got a chance firsthand to see how I am with other people because it's that connection to go, right, I treat you equally no matter what, man. There is no favorites in that way. We're all good. But also, I'm seeing more. Some of my clients are very intelligent. They're technologically aware, and they're creating apps that are bringing people together.
Oh,
Once they get it out there, then they
good
can share
stuff.
about it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, it's
Well, we had
very good.
here, we did the same thing 16 years ago. And the app, the first person that you see on it, you can send them a message. If they want to write back, they do. So whatever you put in the message, it wasn't censored.
Wow.
So you could put an address in it and then send it off and then connect with somebody. So me, being totally divorced at that time, and that said, well, somebody to talk to, somebody to hang out with, go to dinner, whatever. So anyway, we were on a site, age match.
So old timer or no?
Oh yeah, something like that.
I think they called it the Silver City.
Yeah, that's it. No, silver dating. Yeah. Anyway, but what are you saying? Anyway, we had been back and forth now a long time for about 3 or 4 months. I mean, that's how long it was. And finally, I got this thing in that look. If you don't come and pick me up, she says, I'm never going to write to you again. And I was like, oh. And she happened to be in Bronx, New York. And of course, who was going to go to the Bronx in New York, right? But the neighborhood that she was in, it's the Italian neighborhood. All nice people and everything else. And let me tell you something. When I drove into that neighborhood, there was like 1,000 eyes watching me get out of the car. I mean, they're like very, very, very tight neighborhood.
Beautiful.
And it was pretty good. And from that time on, that was 14 years ago. So, I mean, obviously, we're not, but it's partners. It's partners. We're not even like married people or anything else now. But it's somebody that you have around, somebody you can talk to.
Right.
Somebody
That
that feeds a dog.
equality.
Somebody feeds a dog.
Excuse me. But, it becomes that dynamic where she does have her own identity. I'm not feeling like I'm living for her. I'm living for myself and with her.
Mm.
And it's a really nice blend when it doesn't have to be, all or nothing. And just like that is the marriage is phenomenal, but it's just really a legal paperwork type of thing.
That's right.
We
Exactly.
are already in this amazing relationship, but now being able to bring it to fruition, one, behind the scenes from the very beginning, we were vibing beautifully. And to be able to build upon that, to be able to open up and do this and not only have a personal relationship, but a professional relationship. And it's not like, oh, I'm working with her again. It's, hey, this is great. And what else do we want to do? So it's nice when you're not, for me, I'm not sick and tired of her. If anything, I enjoy our time and it gets better and better. And so even when we're out in public, we still have our own personalized energy. It's very loving, very connected. We just have to be us. Like that's genuine.
That's exactly what goes on here.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. You just have to be you. You allow the relationship to happen, not try to make it.
Yeah. She's going to say the same thing.
Well, it's interesting when we talk about dating sites. I have another friend that was on them for a while, and realize just for being on dating sites that the person she really, really wanted to be with was right next to her. It was one of her really good friends. They were both widowed. They could just kind of move on if they wanted to, but it took a little bit of online dating to realize that the person she was super connected with and felt the best with was standing right next to her, supporting her through XYZ. And they eventually did get married, you know? So sometimes we look outside to find what it is we're looking for, but we're pulled really close to home, or we're pulled back into our own energy. And what are we really drawing into our field? And the problem with pandemic dating is that we don't go out as much. You know, we don't go to the restaurant or the bar or the play or the this or the that as much. I mean, there's things are opening up a little bit now. They might be shut down again later. Who knows, right? So we're a little bit less interactive, and we don't have as many opportunities for the universe to match our vibration if we're at home all the time. And so remember that online dating gets your energy out there without you having to go out there. So it's a way to get out there without getting out there.
Catalyst.
But yeah, it's a catalyst. So, you know, you really do have to follow your heart. You really do have to see what's right for you. And if you feel like dating, I don't see anything wrong with not putting a foot out the door, whether it's on an online dating app or if it's literally going somewhere. But I do feel that the universe will match you. The universe matches vibrations. So if two people are open and seeking and have complementary energies, because like attracts like, you're going to run into that person in the grocery store. You know, I tell you, when I was in my online dating phase, I was still flirting with people in the grocery store. I would talk to anybody in the wine section with me.
How you
But
doing?
right. She's right though. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, we were in a wine store the other day, and she says, "Well, you know, so why don't we get a bottle of wine or something?" I said, "Okay, no problem." So there's this store over here, it's like wine forever, you know, one of those things. And sure enough, we met somebody that we knew from South Carolina when we lived there. So I mean, it was weird. It was like, don't I know you from somewhere?
Isn't that?
Yeah, 700 miles that way.
But look, you ended up in the same place. And kind
Uh,
of like
funny.
Meg,
Yeah.
right. She was vibing with just regular store stuff. Go, yeah, but in the wine area, which I kind of enjoy, more than likely another person might enjoy. And then finding that nice communication and conversation. What's really cool is, you know, doing the psychic aspect. If I get information, I'll give it. But there have been times where a person's asking me, you know, am I going to meet anybody? Because I stay at home all the time. And I'm like, well, good. That's great. But, you know, do you ever go to the store or, you know, gas? And she's like, well, of course. And so I started vibing to see if I could pick anything up. And what I was picking up is that she would be in a store looking at like a spaghetti aisle and look down, and just a little ways down off to her left, which is kind of specific, would be this person who she could connect with. And she's like, oh, well, okay, that's great. You know, because I go to the store and I really don't meet anyone at all. I'm like, oh, perfect. Just be open. You know, it's okay. And so a number of days later, she's at the store, literally looking in the spaghetti aisle, it's kind of specific, and looks to her left, and there's this gentleman standing there. He asks her a question, and the conversation opens. They started dating after that. But the great thing is I'm Joe Schmo, right? I don't know that person that I'm reading for, that I'm aware of. But what I was picking up is, isn't that interesting? I picked up two potential outcomes, the gentleman and her. So on both of those, I was connecting and creating a future memory. I'm connecting with that quantum soup of life ingredients and choices that they've already done this particular one. And it tends to happen. And then I always make sure, because, you know, I'm in that practicality of spiritual stuff, that if I'm connecting with you in any way as a future you, that's also what constitutes that deja vu. I haven't done it, but I've done it. Haven't done it, but I've done it. Right. On a soul recognition, you already have that particular conscious connection now to it through your Solodex. And so just being able to pick it up is, well, isn't it weird? Because that reality isn't there, yet it is. And then them doing their day-to-day living for a number of days, and then going to the location, in this case, a store, and then having that exact circumstance play out.
I know we kind of steered into the dating and everything, and the
Yeah,
dating
cool.
sites and everything. Okay, now wait a minute. One of the things that you wanted to talk about was communication, clearer communication with yourself, loved ones, and guides. Now, we're there. This is something that anybody that's listening to this podcast or the actually the live one that's out there right now all over the world, anybody that's listening to it now can relate to it because we're talking about date sites where things begin.
Yeah.
Your life can begin at one by talking to someone, and the vibes that you get from that person can either be somebody that you just text to once in a while, somebody you call up on the phone, somebody that you may need something, or maybe you need a shoulder to cry on. Who knows? All of those things are what make us human. The need of someone else. The other part is knowing ourselves.
Big time.
That's the first part.
There you go.
Yeah. Otherwise, you won't know what's your stuff or theirs.
There you go. Now, you were going to say something.
Well, I was also thinking about the degrees of separation, because you're bound to know someone who knows someone who knows someone who you might be compatible with dating. And this comes down to clear communication as well, speaking to the universe clearly what you want. And, Jamie teaches a whole thing about creating a future memory so that you can already put your energy matching a vibration of a future memory. But then also, clear communication is, do you have the guts to look at someone and say, hey, I'm in the dating field right now. If you know of anyone who you think would be compatible with me, maybe let's check it out. How many people are willing to put themselves in a vulnerable position of not having checked anyone out before, go out on blind dates or do those things? There's a level of vulnerability. But if you're a very clear communicator and you know what you want and you can communicate what you want, your friends aren't going to set you up with someone who they're like,
Some
nope,
kind of
you can't
D-bag.
can't date a Seattle Seahawks fan. That's her arch enemy. Like, don't do it. I mean, they're going to know you enough to know that they're going to bring you someone who can vibe with you, or who speaks your language, or who reads the same types of books that you read, or watch the same types of shows, or listens to the same podcasts that you listen to. So there's always something that if we're willing to have clear communication with the people that are in our lives when we want something new, it opens doors. And I mean, think about how many degrees of separation. They call it 7 degrees of separation, but
Yes.
now with the internet,
Yeah.
it's probably more like 3 or 4, if that. And so, but we're all interconnected. And so sometimes speaking to the universe is one thing, but then speaking it aloud as a spoken word, which has a frequency and energy, to another person. Now you have two people's consciousnesses working on the same thing, right? And then if you're talking to a couple of friends saying, hey, then you have like 3 or 4 people that are now tuned into that channel. And what does it do? It creates more of an energy and more of a big energy for people to be attracted to.
Now
So
you have now you have a communication orgy.
there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. And when you're comfortable, you'll open
That's
up
right.
to it.
That's
That's
right.
the beauty.
I mean, the nice part about it is what we're talking about here is what people are looking for. People are looking for answers, and this conversation is giving a lot of people a lot of answers. When they're listening to, they can look. Let's face it. There's no reason why someone can't try something. If you hear somebody that makes perfect sense, and you want to maybe you don't want to meet somebody. Maybe you just want to like have somebody that you can text to or email to or something like that. And just turn around and say, "Hey, listen, do you know that guy over there? Now, does he got an email address?" And you can always write on the thing, "Look, I saw you in the this place here at blah 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 blah, and I was talking to blah blah blah, and he gave me your address and that. Would you mind if we talked?" And that person will call or write back. I don't care who he is. I don't care what kind of attitude he has. He will write back, or she will write back. I had a she that wrote me that thought I was somebody else. It was funny as hell. I mean, I am not the kind of person that would lead anybody on because I told her right from the top, You're writing to the wrong person. I am Bob, yes, but it was like I forget what the last name was. Well, let's use Smith for the joke of this. So she was trying to get in touch with Bob Smith, and Bob Charles was the one that got the email. How? I have no idea because I have the other address. It's Bob Charles at USA.com.
Right.
And the reason why I have the USA one is a lot of people that write me from Washington and Virginia and Baltimore, and that's where I get all my insight things, like what's going on in Washington. So I
Mm.
mean, I get some pretty good stuff. Whistleblowers coming out my ears. But
Are
the
you having
idea,
them on guests?
huh?
Are you having them on as guests?
I don't know. You see, I don't know about that because like I say, I'm not going to black out their face, or make their voice out like this. I mean, it's I'm not going to do something like that.
Hi.
Exactly. I mean, to do something like that is ridiculous. But when somebody is talking to me about a certain subject, there are things that I know about that subject that are not in the news. So I can turn around and I can connect the dots. You go, okay, well, you're right when you say that, but you left out.
How
It's
many people
it's
do
like,
their homework?
well, yeah, well,
Research.
yeah, but it's like CNN. They use it. They use the first three words and then forget the rest of the sentence. you know, that's just the way they write. So they call themselves journalists. I call them junkieists.
Well, because it does. It becomes like a drug. And
Yeah.
that's that endorphins flying on the web because people can sit in the comfort of their own home and travel the world. Not only that,
Unlike
the universe.
unlike the dating sites, uh, which are the whole. I swear, I'm gonna look into that. I really, really am. If anybody wants to help me out here, there's got to be a
Why
way.
don't you create one?
What I'm saying, there's got to be a way you can put up a site where people can write in, all right? And if they want to join, it's a join. It's not like a get in or whatever. $10, you get in and you get to see everybody that's there that also joined, and you can pick out where you want to go or whatever. And it's a talk site only.
Beautiful.
There are no pictures or anything else. If somebody wants to send you a picture, they do it privately.
Right.
But if you want to do it on that site, it's just talk.
Excellent.
It's
That's a
like
nice
comment,
free flow.
only privately.
That's some people's dream, actually, is to not be, they take out the fear of being judged for what they look like or what people other are wanting. And then it's just about who you are as a person, what's deep down and what's coming out.
Exactly. See, now sometimes, but then again, even that's deceiving. I mean, some people that sound unbelievable, and then you meet them, nose to nose, and it's like tugboat Annie.
Where'd that one go?
Well, and we have to remember that we are filtering everything through our own perception.
Hmm?
And I mean, on one of these amazing dates that I went on, which was not so amazing, I realized that he was like a professor, right? So my idea of a professor was, oh, he's going to be well spoken and, he's da 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 da. And everything from my perception laid completely flat when it came down to it. But it was only because I was reading into what he did for work and funneling it through my own perception of what that would feel like. And I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. It was just not what my perception of XYZ would have been. And so when you're reading something, you're reading it through a filter. You gain these little pieces of information around someone and you create what they look like in your mind from what you've experienced in your life or from what you've read or from what you understand. But it's your own perception, it's your own filtration system. And so no one ever matches your filtration system. Okay. Even now, 6 years later after being with Jamie, still my filtration system is not 100%. I will not know him 100%. Only he can know himself 100%. Only I can know myself 100%. I can get really close through lots of conversations and observation and psychic reading. Absolutely. But after that, it's still going through who you are. But if you look at it as we are all one and we're all connected, I can get pretty close. I can get pretty close.
Well, you also realize that unless you were born together, and from that time you are now together, then that's what makes everything different, because it's our history that we go through, the dimensions that we go through from the time we're born to the time where I'm sitting right now, kind of thing. All that stuff is back. It's somewhere in my personality.
Even 100 years later, it's still there.
103, get it straight.
Well, and even twins will have a
Different.
lot of differences because they have different experiences. If you're a twin that climbed a tree and you fell and you broke your wrist, well, maybe you're not going to want to climb trees, but your twin is still climbing trees. You know, that will make it vastly different how you experience life. Are those initial pains and hurts that we accumulate from the age of 0 to 7. It's where all of our subconscious programming in our minds happens, or at least the majority of it happens during our childhood. So childhood experiences have a huge thing to play, even if you're a twin.
And trust me, I fell out of a tree.
And just
Of all day, but next time you talk to my father, okay, it was at his trucking place, and where he drove the truck for, the company would let my father sneak me on the truck every once in a while, on my holidays from school. So I think I was about 7, 8, maybe 7, something like that. And the neighbor next door to where the trucking place was had this like huge tree, and all us kids would go up and down the thing and play war. That was like until the trucks went out at like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, we'd be running around in the tree. So I fell out of the tree, and that's where I got this little crack on my tooth over here. That's where that came from. And my father said, when you go home, tell your mother you ate a pork chop, and the bone got it.
Right, very good.
So, but you wouldn't. I mean, you can't really notice it. But I mean,
No, you can't.
there was a little crunch there. But anyway, from that time on, that changed my mind of trees. And I don't think I went up that many trees. Like when she said that, it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Huh.
But I mean, that's part of your makeup, part of your background, part of the cells in your body. I mean, cells do remember.
That becomes that receptivity of relationships too, just like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly the same thing.
And that's go ahead.
Maybe we should take out parts. I'll give her give Maggie the audio. The audio has everything. It has your heartbeat on that one. But on that one, you can take that one out, and then we'll use little parts of what we're talking about dating and put it on as a premiere on the top of as a little preview. And this is what we believe about dating. Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much good stuff in here. If somebody just listened.
Well, right, but that's the point. But in addition, giving such a connection with the technology, Descript, is that what we use? Yeah, for our show. And you can literally put any audio in this program and it will type it out. And it's very, very good. It is very accurate. It's not like, I didn't say that. It's got a very effective dynamic. Basically, you could easily create a book just by doing that.
Well, I was thinking about getting Dragon, but that's for the book.
Yeah.
You won't need Dragon. You have all the audio that like all your 1600, audio things that are on Mixcloud. You can just drag them in and it can transcribe it for you. It's not perfect, but it does a really good job. It would require editing, but you can shuffle it around too in the program. It's a cool program.
Dragon's pretty cool. It types while you're talking.
Yeah. Yeah, this one will do it too, but it also lets you work with something that's already pre-recorded, so pretty cool.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yes, sir.
The last thing that I have on my list. Okay. Guides. Now, hello. Hello. The thing that I was thinking about with the guides. I don't know. Do I have one?
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch. I know that I got a whole bunch of people around. because I will get an image or something sometimes in my head, like when something's going to happen, something's not going to happen. I need help for something. I ask universe subliminally, ask the universe, like the inside of me already does that. It's like help.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things. I know that I get an answer all the time, except when I seriously ask universe for something, and they tell me that number's disconnected. But I mean, hey, that's just that's our relationship. But everybody has like you have a guide.
Yes, we all
Mag-
do.
Maggie has it with the cards and everything. I don't know whether I have one or not.
You have multiple, but if you get a chance, listen to Master Guide with the podcast that we do, Psychic Evolution. I take you through that visual, which is exactly how I met Chi, my master guide. And then you can bring other guides in. But it was incredible because we all have guides, but most of us are like, I don't know who it is, whatever. Until after many years, it was like, you know what? I want to see if I can find out who my guide is, the master guide or whatever. And so when I did this visual and found myself sitting there, and Chi walked in from the right to the left, and in this had a rainbow head of light. When I first met him, I'm like, what the flagnog? What's that? Your job is to be completely open, no preconceived notion, nothing. Just be open. Now, there are also a lot of times I'm very thankful. I asked, what's the name? He said, Chi. I'm like, okay. But there are a lot of people who will keep asking their guides for a name and they never get it. And my response is, wow, well, if that happens, give them a name. Don't we do that with our beautiful children, with our animals? They
Mhm.
don't care what you call them, just acknowledging what's your comfort of a reference or label, because it's that kind of connection. They're instantly right there, but a thought away. It's not like they're doing anything for us, they're doing it with us. But they can see from a vantage point, energy wise, a stronger potential of where you're heading by your own thought process and can guide you nicely. Hey, keep going, or go off to the left hand side there because that other direction isn't going to be productive at the moment. Down the road, it will be, but this time you're going to go around it, not through it.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then for me, because I wanted a little more solid validation, go, okay, that's cute. Chi, life force energy. Please show me in my physical reality the name Chi, because I haven't seen that in a while. And as I shared, I used to work in hospitality. So I was up in between times, and 20 minutes later I was down in the banquet bar area. I was supervising, and we had a banquet event order, BEO, and it was an Italian group, and I couldn't pronounce the name. There were so many letters. And so right, one of the bartenders comes over, he's like, let's play Hooked on Phonics, and he covers up all of the letters except for the first three. CHI. I'm like, oh, you freaking did it. So my thing is I want to see that name in my real reality. Now, to me, be open, whether it's words through a book, conversations with others, a license plate, just be open for that validation, because he knew that meant a lot to me to go, okay, if this is real, show me in my physical day-to-day living this stuff so I know that I can incorporate it and not be some nut job. And he did it. I do this all day long, but those who know me know I question everything. Please be skeptical about everything, question everything, just be open.
Yes, Maggie. See,
Oh, I'm
she's got it. You can see it in her eyes. I
Yeah.
swear to God, you can see it in her eyes. When she wants to say something, you can see it. I don't know what it is, but I looked at her. Okay, she's looking
because
like
I get all
this.
excited. Can't help it. Um, so and with guides, sometimes you'll be working with new guides, and then they'll be giving you information. You might see pictures in your mind of what they look like. You might hear words, you might hear images or see images, you might smell things, whatever it is. But when you're working with new guides, it's kind of nice to be able to call them something except for like, hey, you. Although I still have a few, I just say, hey, you too. But sometimes you'll just get a sense. And there are certain guides of mine, I'm sure I can't pronounce their name because they've tried and I'm not hearing it right, So I just go, hey, Tibetan dude, and he's fine with that. He doesn't take offense to what I'm calling him because he's there as a guide to help me. So a lot of it's just opening up our perception so that we can feel what's around us. But I do agree with Jamie, doing that in a guided meditation, I think is one of the best ways to start feeling and working with your guides, having conversations with your guides, actually really communicating, because you'll have new ones come in sometimes, and it's good to know what energy is around you if you want to know.
And that your team and your master guide can help as some of the new guides might come in. For me, she's very good at orchestrating. I have a lot of guides because I need all the help I can get, but each one has their own expertise, their own talents. So she knows vibe going, oh, hey, this is the most appropriate one to handle this, but there you go. And here's this and that. And it's not like she doesn't do anything. He does, but he's also able to work with the other guides. He has the overall big picture of who I am and what I'm about. So that as the newbies come in, you can get a grasp on it because he's been with me for many lifetimes. It's not the only lifetime. And so the cool thing is that we've been moving along. Not only do some new guides come in, there have been a time where a new master guide came in for somebody. The old original left. I didn't know that was possible.
No, you did say something about you did mention another lifetime or other lifetimes, and that it's somebody. What was it yesterday, the day before? I guess it was Monday, Sunday, one of those days, and they said to me, if I ever have to live again, I'm going to do things differently. And I said, Psst, yes, you will. It's like, and they looked at me like I was crazy, right? Which I am anyway. But hey, the thing that I was trying to impress on them was, you're not crazy by saying you'll if you have to come back, because it's your. I mean, I've been there, did that. One of those kind of things. It's your choice. You want to come back, you come back. If you don't want to come back, you don't have to come back.
Right. You can learn from others.
You can go on somewhere. If you want to go to another planet, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. Another dimension, another universe. It's amazing.
I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I'm still, and it was your fault. It was people call me the praying mantis.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's because it's there.
It might be. But I mean, every single time somebody says that, it's like I want to take my hands and go.
Funny, but I will tell you, you're only crazy till it's validated. That is a very real species.
Oh yeah,
very
I'm
real.
sure. I'm sure.
And it's not like it's the little guys. Some of the ones that I've connected, they're big, man. I'm like, dang. What if there's a potential that a number of animals and mammals and things like that are connected to extraterrestrials, that they have some of the watchers here? Come on to this planet. Hey, you got to blend in.
But they probably do.
Oh, they do.
Look, the animals were here before we were. At least in our conscious minds, we were here. I mean, we might have been here, but like upstairs was out to lunch. But
so normal.
Exactly. But I mean, you take things like whales, and things like that. I mean, whales had legs.
I didn't know that.
Go look it up.
Yeah.
They were original. They were also. They were. What do they call them? Like a salamander. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They come out of the water swimming, or frog, and then they go on land. These wings or fish, some fish, have spots in their bones or on the sides and that, where there was at one time, way, way, way back, could have been an appendage, a leg or hand or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And yet, on average, a lot of beings here are the regular two legs. They're humanoid, basically. But a lot of them look vastly different. And there's not just that. There are some that look like an octopus, where they have many arm tentacle things. It's really incredible. And, what little I've been able to experience, and some of those that I've connected with, to go, that makes sense why it's either in the ocean or wherever it is. And they're the watchers. They're able to see that and keep an eye on, plus they can do it in their own way. But
right.
through those
Telepath.
species here, yeah, they're used to the human vibe. And on this planet, it now creates a frequency, a channel. So you tune into it, it's always playing. And you can tune into many different species and many different dynamics of that. It's really cool.
See, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of being together with you guys. I mean, it's people get to see things that they don't know. That's not on TV. That's not in your smartphone or anything like that. There is a consciousness, and your consciousness is, as I said many times, energy. You put the two of them together, and what is it? Love.
Yes.
It is, and that is something that people don't understand. You know how many times, I mean, I've heard people tell me, I've asked them, what's love, and they tell me, they come out with their own definition. It could be anything from somebody giving you flowers, blah, blah, blah. And it's always something material somewhere going on. They don't go into the spiritual part of it or the energy trading off in a sense. Let's face it, if you have a certain energy and somebody else has a certain energy, that synergy in between or that passing back and forth. That's like horny energy.
Yeah.
It's
And it
like
builds on
I'm
itself.
serious. It gets
Yes.
charged.
Yep.
Really, really charged. And it's a crazy kind of a thing. And people don't realize it like, hey, that's why you and you came together in the first place. But you didn't get it. Now I'm telling you, if it happens again, that's it.
You've got the information. Yes.
A lot of people do go or they date incorrectly. They're what they're looking for is nowhere near, what they need or want.
But it's where they're at.
That's
And
bingo.
we do have to honor that. Above everything else, we have to honor the journey, of each individual to be part of that collective. And they're fulfilling their part of what their part of their collective, is to be exactly where they are and be exactly true to themselves in that moment. If they can accomplish that, if each person can accomplish being true to themselves in every moment, whoo, love will flow.
Oh boy. With that, we we can say goodnight.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like conversations like this, I'm telling you, they are everything that you wanted to put into a conversation without explaining anything is here. It was in that conversation. I'm looking at what you wrote me, and I'm going, ha! If you only knew. But
Right, huh?
I'm serious. It was fantastic. And the thing is that a lot of people that the last show that we had, a lot of people did write me, and they said, "Oh wow, I learned so much."
Excellent.
And we, if we really, really think about the way we had done the show, we'd never, if I asked you or you asked me, and what we learned from each other, we wouldn't be anywhere near what this woman wrote
Fantastic.
because it's the way they receive what Maggie said.
Yes. Their own frame of reference.
Yep.
Can we fit that in? Can we communicate and talk with them, not just to them? Big difference.
Cool. Yeah. Anyway.
Thanks for doing what you do, brother. I do always appreciate and respect you. Thank you.
We can do stuff like that. Don't forget, everybody, this show is on every 2 weeks.
Hey, and we're the first podcast. We number 1 on Bob's channel.
Well, there you go. So if you want to watch or listen or talk to them or write to them, you can always go to www.jamieclark.net. Go to that address. Now, if you want to talk to me and you want to send me, you want to swear at me, I don't care. It's all cool to me. Just go to www.pyramid1network.com. It's also a directive website, so it tells you where to go. It shows you the blog address and everything else, so you can see who's going to be on the show, who's going to be around. Good stuff. God bless y'all. Bob Charles. Out!
Awesome. Beautiful as always.